Chapter 11 Super Rich Loli. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Xiao Zhe chatted with Xiao Yan for a bit, then said, I've got a date with Xun'er. Sorry I can't hang out, third brother. Xiao Yan nodded, a happy smile spreading across his face. You're living the dream, dude, he thought, a twinge of envy hitting him. Amazing talent and a beautiful girl by his side, what more could you want? Go on, get ready. Have a blast, Xiao Yan said, genuinely happy for his brother. Since Xiao Zhe and Xiao Xun'er were in the same cultivation group, their relationship had blossomed quickly. Xiao Yan had even considered testing his Dou Qi on Xun'er, but quickly dismissed the idea. They weren't close enough for that, and he'd probably just get the crap beat out of him for barging into her room. Later, without a suitable guinea pig, Xiao Yan abandoned his Dou Qi experiment and focused on training until he was completely exhausted. Oh, hey, third brother. Xiao Zhe suddenly turned back. What's up? Need something? Xiao Zhe smiled sincerely. I've always believed you're destined for greatness. You'll break through this rough patch, become a true dragon, and soar across the Dou Qi continent. Xiao Yan was stunned. No one had ever believed in him like that, in his potential, in his future. Not even Xiao Zhan had shown such unwavering faith. Don't give up, third brother. This slump doesn't mean your future's gonna suck. With that, Xiao Zhe waved and hurried off. Xiao Yan stood there, a lump forming in his throat. He blinked back tears. For the past year, he'd been grinding away in his room, day and night, but his Dou Qi kept disappearing. The test finally exposed him to everyone's ridicule and disdain. People who used to fawn over him now avoided him. His father still treated him the same, desperately seeking a cure, but Xiao Yan could feel his hope dwindling. Xiao Zhan was clinging to that last straw, desperately trying to figure out what was wrong. And now, the family's rising star, his fourth brother, was showing him this incredible trust. How could he not be moved? Yeah, he thought. This is just a bump in the road. I can't just give up here. He wiped his eyes, took a deep breath, and ran back to his room. Practice. I need to practice. Xiao Zhe hurried back to his own room, showered, and changed. He put on his best outfit and combed his hair. Looking at the handsome young man in the mirror, he grinned. He pulled out a plain black card from beside his bed, a basic savings card with a limit of 5,000 gold coins. The fancier cards required money and power. I asked her to let me treat her, I don't really want her to pay though. The card had been given to Xiao Zhe by the elder in charge when he collected his stipend. His monthly allowance had jumped to 100 gold coins. Plus, he could now apply to the family for any training resources he needed. The card already had 2,000 gold coins on it, a back payment of his prior stipends, according to the elder. Almost ready. Time to wait for Xun'er at the gate. Xiao Zhe checked the time, only half an hour had passed. He had plenty of time. Meanwhile, in Xiao Xun'er's room, clothes were strewn all over the bed. Still in her pajamas, Xiao Xun'er kept picking up outfits and holding them up to herself. Mr. Ling, what do you think of this one? Or this one? Ling Ying, lurking in the shadows, was feeling conflicted, seeing the lengths to which his young mistress was going. Miss, you're naturally beautiful. You look good in everything. But I want to pick the best one. Xiao Xun'er tossed down 2 outfits and picked up another, looking serious. It's my first date with brother Xiao Zhe. Even though it's just dinner to celebrate. She trailed off. I need to look my absolute best. Ling Ying sighed. Seeing his mistress so stressed, he had an idea. Miss, you and Master Xiao Zhe are always together. He sees you practically every day, so he's probably used to your usual clothes. Xiao Xun'er paused, realizing he had a point. Ling Ying seized the moment. How about you wear something he's never seen before? It might really make him sit up and take notice. That's it. Thanks, Mr. Ling. Xiao Zhe stood at the gate, killing time by focusing on his recent training. He'd just become a 9-star fighter a few days ago, and he'd stabilized, making great progress. The original book mentioned that at the beginning of the fighting spirit stage, you might advance 1 level a year, which was considered really fast. It was different from the snail's pace of the Dou Li stage. Once you became a fighter, your training speed would skyrocket, potentially gaining several stars in a year. Plus, the system's customized Dou cyclone was way better than anyone else's, making his progress even faster. Soon, he'd hit the peak of 9-star fighter. I'll use Xun'er to get that tenfold feedback of a 1-star fighter, and hopefully break through. Lost in thought, Xiao Zhe was startled by a voice. Brother Xiao Zhe. What are you thinking about? You're totally spaced out. Xiao Xun'er's voice snapped him out of it. He turned to her, his eyes widening, her long hair cascaded down her back, adorned with a golden hairpiece with red threads dangling from it. She wore a light blue top under a white dress, with red patterns on the cuffs and collar. She looked like she'd stepped out of a painting. Combined with her natural grace, she was a vision of ethereal beauty. Xiao Xun'er caught the admiration and surprise in Xiao Zhe's eyes, a sweet feeling spreading through her. Brother Xiao Zhe, do I look okay? She opened her arms and twirled around, letting him take it all in. You look amazing. The dress is perfect. But you look even better. Xiao Zhe couldn't help but gush. Xiao Xun'er beamed. All that time spent picking out and putting together her outfit had been worth it. Then let's go, brother Xiao Zhe. You can eat to your heart's content. Girl, aren't you afraid I'll bankrupt you? Humph, go ahead and try, brother Xiao Zhe. See if you can make me, Xun'er, broke. She tilted her head, a proud expression on her face, like an adorable little kitten. Of course, Xiao Zhe knew how loaded Xiao Xun'er was. 1,000 meals wouldn't even make a dent in her fortune. Chapter 12 Ye Fei and Master Oba. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Xiao Zhe and Xiao Xun'er strolled down the street side by side. The striking pair drew stares from passers-by. Oblivious, they headed straight for their destination. Lanterns were already lit by the time they reached Xingde restaurant. Inside, the place buzzed with activity under bright lights. What a happening place. No wonder it's Wutan City's top restaurant, Xiao Zhe said, observing the steady stream of people. Looks like we'll have a wait, he added. Don't worry, Xiao Zhe. I already took care of everything. We can go right in. Xun'er winked, a mysterious smile playing on her lips, and pulled Xiao Zhe toward the entrance. A waiter quickly led them to a private room upstairs. The room was elegantly designed. One window overlooked the restaurant's main floor, offering a view of the singers and diners below. The other offered a vista of the brightly lit city at night. Xun'er, this room is perfect. Hehe, I booked it specifically to keep any unwanted attention away. Xiao Zhe nodded. He knew Xun'er's beauty often attracted unwanted admirers. A private room definitely saved a lot of hassle. So, what's this private room set us back? Xun'er held up a slender finger, giggling. Including our monster feast, it's 1,500 gold coins. Whoa. That's steep. If I remember right, the Xiao family's annual profit is only around 100,000 gold coins. Xiao Zhe exclaimed, wow, the Xiao family's entire year's earnings would barely cover 2 months at Xingde restaurant. So, is this feast of mine sincere or what? Totally sincere. As they chatted, the Warcraft feast began to arrive. These were specially bred and cooked edible monsters, known for their health benefits, replenishing energy, boosting circulation, and strengthening the body. While not as potent as an alchemist's elixir, they were still highly sought after. After all, this was Dochi continent, a world where might made right. Anything that enhanced strength was in high demand. The aroma of roasting meat filled the air. Xiao Zhe took a deep breath, his mouth watering at the sight of the monster meat spread across the table. Stop staring, Xiao Zhe. Dig in. Let's eat. They enjoyed the delicious feast, chatting and taking in the views. All too soon, the meal was winding down. Xiao Zhe raised a glass of icy blue juice and clinked it against Xun'er's. The first sensation was intensely cold, followed by a fiery warmth as he swallowed. Intrigued, Xiao Zhe examined his cup. This juice is something else. Xiao Xun'er explained, Xun'er restaurant cultivates the main ingredient for this juice, a low-level medicinal material. Regular consumption can supposedly boost even the weakest fighting spirit. Xiao Zhe paused, surprised, and focused on his inner energy. Sure enough, he could just detect a slight increase in his barely perceptible fighting spirit. Yeah, it only gives you a tiny boost. But that's enough to attract customers. Xiao Zhe emphasized the word tiny, prompting a giggle from Xun'er. Still, for Xun'er restaurant to offer something like this, they must have some serious backing, right? Xiao Xun'er nodded. Actually, they have ties to the Xiao family, indirectly. The Nailan family owns Xun'er restaurant. The Nailan family. One of the three great families in the Jia Ma Empire, the family that used to be so close to the Xiao family. Xiao Zhe was surprised. He hadn't expected the Nailan family to be behind it, but then again, as one of the empire's most powerful families, the Nailan family had influence everywhere. No wonder Xun'er restaurant can operate so openly in the heart of Wutan City. The Nailan family's protection makes sense. My third brother's fiancée is the eldest daughter of the Nailan family. Xun'er sipped her juice, her tone thoughtful. The Nailan family used to contact the Xiao family often, but I'm not sure what will happen now. Xiao Zhe understood her meaning. Now that Xiao Yan had lost his powers, it was uncertain if the Nailan family would continue their relationship with the Xiao family. However, if the original story held true, the Nailan family head would honor the engagement, even if Xiao Yan remained powerless. Well, you never know. Maybe the Nailan family doesn't care about his lost power. Xun'er nodded. Time would tell. Master Oba. Please, have some respect. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the restaurant, drawing their attention. They glanced downstairs and saw a striking woman in a cheongsam, her figure commanding attention, but her face was etched with displeasure, her voice sharp. Opposite her stood a pudgy, pale-faced boy of maybe 13 or 14, he looked like he overindulged, with dark circles under his eyes and a vacant stare. The boy seemed startled at first, but his eyes quickly turned lecherous as he smirked at the woman. Before things could escalate, the restaurant manager stepped in, preventing further confrontation and warning the boy not to cause trouble. Perhaps aware of the crowd, the boy didn't cause a scene, but took a seat in the main dining area. The woman headed upstairs. Xiao Zhe and Xiao Xun'er exchanged glances, having watched the whole thing unfold. Isn't that Miss Yafei, the chief auctioneer from Mitre Auction House? Xiao Xun'er was surprised. How did Xiao Zhe know Yafei? How did you know that it was Miss Yafei? Xiao Zhe looked at Xiao Xun'er, noticing her confusion. What are you thinking about? Didn't you invite Miss Yafei to the Xiao family last year to attend the coming-of-age ceremony? Oh. That's right, and if I recall correctly, the other one seems to be from the Oba family. Xiao Xun'er stuck out her tongue and quickly changed the subject. The Oba family may be one of the big three in Wutan City, but they're not powerful enough to mess with Miss Yafei from Mitre Auction House. Xiao Zhe agreed, shaking his head. This is a classic case of lust makes you blind. And the look on his face tells me he's not giving up anytime soon. Xiao Zhe gestured for Xiao Xun'er to look downstairs. Sure enough, the Oba family's young master was eating, but his eyes kept darting to the stairs. Thank goodness we booked a private room in advance. Xun'er patted her chest, relieved. If we had run into him, even if we aren't afraid of him, he would have ruined our mood. Exactly. Miss Yafei probably isn't enjoying her dinner much right now either. Xiao Zhe paused, then said to Xiao Xun'er, how about we stick around a little longer and watch a show? Xiao Xun'er caught his drift instantly. She considered it for a moment, then agreed. They ordered a few more desserts. Xiao Zhe also took another look at the price of the feast. It was just within his budget, but after this, he'd be broke again. I beg you readers to keep reading. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 13 There are still masters. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Xun'er, gotta run out for a sec. In their private room, Xiao Zhe suddenly set down his cup, stood up, and addressed Xiao Xun'er. Okay, brother Xiao Zhe, hurry back. Miss Yafei might leave before you get back, and you'll miss the show. Xiao Xun'er smiled, her eyes twinkling. Don't be long. Xiao Zhe left the room, rubbing the black credit card in his pocket, planning to settle the bill first. Xiao Xun'er watched the door close. Mr. Ling, what do you think Xiao Zhe is up to? A slightly amused voice came from a corner of the room. Probably just going to pay the bill. Maybe hoping for a chance to bump into Miss Yafei. Mr. Ling. What are you saying? Xiao Xun'er rolled her eyes towards the corner where the voice originated. Ha ha ha, just kidding. The kid touched his credit card as he left. He's definitely heading to the cashier. Ling Ying's voice turned more serious. Xiao Xun'er nodded. He's worried I'll overspend and wants to settle the tab himself. But I already took care of it. A moment later, the door quietly opened. Xiao Zhe peeked inside, saw Xiao Xun'er's knowing smile and the bill in her hand, and gave a helpless grin. Looks like you knew what I was doing. Xun'er, you already paid. Xiao Zhe walked over and gently ruffled her hair. You deposited a whole black credit card at the counter. Talk about going all out for this meal. Hee. Xun'er wanted to treat brother Xiao Zhe to a real feast, so of course, I wasn't going to skimp. Xiao Xun'er squinted, enjoying his touch. But brother Xiao Zhe, weren't we supposed to be splitting the bill? Yeah, you're treating, and I'm paying, but my plan backfired. Xiao Zhe sat back down, a little defeated. He was truly outmatched by Xun'er's wealth. It's our first date, after all. Wanted to make it special by handling the bill. Don't sweat the small stuff, brother Xiao Zhe. A measly 2,000 gold coins is nothing. Xiao Xun'er took his hand, her expression serious. Besides, you helped me master the Yan Hui Biao fighting skill, which saved me tons of time. Time is money, right? I'll rake it in when I get back. You're something else, kid. Tallying it all up like that, as they laughed, they noticed a figure descending the stairs. Showtime. Brother Xiao Zhe, let's move. Seeing Yafei appear, they immediately got to their feet, ready to head downstairs. Suddenly, Xiao Xun'er stopped Xiao Zhe. With a flick of her wrist, two black cloaks materialized in her hands. Xiao Zhe glanced at the ring on Xiao Xun'er's finger, warmth filling his heart. A space ring, what a rare find. Here, put on this cloak, brother Xiao Zhe. Easier to move around. Good idea. They strolled down the hallway, unnoticed by the staff. Seeing cloaked figures wasn't unusual, happening dozens of times a month. People wore cloaks for all sorts of reasons: ugliness, criminal status, secret rendezvous. The restaurant didn't care, as long as customers paid and didn't cause trouble. The restaurant turned a blind eye. Even in Wutan City's underworld, the restaurant had this mentality: coming in disguise to spend money was a plus. It meant the restaurant was attractive enough that even people trying to hide still wanted to eat. There were risks, but successful restaurants took chances. After the two went downstairs, Yafei had already exited the restaurant. The short, chubby Master Oba trailed closely behind. Xiao Zhe noticed that a fighter protected the young master. They flanked Oba as he followed Yafei, looking lecherous. That Oba kid has definitely indulged himself way too much. Probably gets away with all sorts of stuff in Wutan City. And his family isn't just enabling him, they're sending extra guards to make things even easier. Xiao Zhe quietly told Xiao Xun'er. Xiao Xun'er nodded. She seemed to have picked up on something. Leaning closer, she said, Brother Xiao Zhe, are we heading further and further from the main road? Looks like it. Seems Miss Yafei's planning on leading him somewhere isolated to teach him a lesson. Just like you said, he's so blinded by lust that he's walking into a trap, and he doesn't even realize it. The two followed, unconcerned about any danger. Xiao Xun'er had Ling Ying watching her back, and Xiao Zhe knew she was protected by a Do Huang warrior. He was confident, in Wutan City, there was no place safer than being around Xun'er. Finally, they arrived at a secluded alley. Master Oba could no longer contain himself and said with a wicked grin, Miss Yafei, what are the odds? Meeting in such a remote place. It must be destiny. Just come with me. In the alley, Yafei's face remained composed, but her eyes held a hint of disappointment. She had thought Oba would be more patient and wait until the alley was completely deserted before making his move. Not destiny. I brought you here on purpose, Master Oba. Yafei said with a smile, her tone slightly cold, but Master Oba didn't notice. The evil grin on his face widened. He, so Miss Yafei likes me too. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Young Master Oba rushed toward Yafei with unsteady steps, lust burning in his eyes. Yafei shivered. The guy's eyes seemed to be able to see right through her, giving her goosebumps. Bang! Suddenly, a surge of fighting spirit erupted behind him. Master Oba spun around, he saw his fighter guard collapsed on the ground, head covered in blood, life or death uncertain. Next to him stood a young man with a ferocious look, the Mitre Auction House logo tattooed on his chest. Reality dawned on Master Oba. No. You can't touch me. I'm the young master of the Oba family. If you touch me, my father will never let you get away with this. As the fierce young man approached, Oba quickly shouted. Bang! The fighter had been no match for the fierce young man, killed instantly with a single blow, let alone a practitioner of fighting spirit. Yafei sighed in relief. Xiao Zhe and Xiao Xun'er, hidden in the shadows, were about to leave after watching the show, but the situation suddenly took a turn. What's going on? Why did you kill him? Yafei frowned and questioned the fierce young man. The young Master Oba had a large dent in his head, blood gushing out. He couldn't possibly survive. Didn't I tell you just to teach him a lesson? You did. But I changed my mind, Miss Yafei. The fierce young man laughed and stalked toward Yafei. Lust quickly replaced the murderous look on his face. I like you too, Miss Yafei. Outside the alley, Xiao Zhe and Xiao Xun'er exchanged glances. A thought flashed through Xiao Zhe's mind. Still more players in this game. Chapter 14, Routine Wins People's Hearts. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Yafei's face went white. Her bodyguard was about to cross the line. Do you have any idea what you're doing? She demanded, trying to sound composed and hoping to talk him down. If you just take me back, I'll pretend I didn't hear anything you said today. I'll even cover up some of your indiscretions. TCH. The thug scoffed, shoving Master Oba further into the corner with his foot. Miss Yafei, you think I'm stupid? After you said what you did, I went straight home and grabbed all my savings. He stalked closer, his face flushed with a disturbing mix of infatuation and hunger. When I heard you talking about taking that guy to a secluded spot for a beating, I knew it was my chance. The opportunity of a lifetime. Yafei's stomach dropped. This guy was planning a runner. A flicker of pure panic crossed her features. She took a step back, and he matched her. You don't have to do this. There are plenty of women out there. She blurted as her back slammed against the wall. Trapped, she couldn't hide her fear any longer. Let me go, and I promise I'll find you someone. A powerful fighter like you. Women will be lining up. I don't think you realize how irresistible you are, Miss Yafei. That beautiful face, that amazing figure, and that air of being so far above everyone else. He paused, seemingly comfortable with the delay now that they were isolated. As a guard, he only ever got to exchange orders with her, never actually talk to her. After being around someone like you, how could I ever go back to those cheap, dime-a-dozen girls? His voice grew thick. You know what I think about all day? How to have you, how to own you. His breathing quickened, seeing the state he was in. Yafei knew that charm and offers were useless. He was right, she was the biggest temptation. She gritted her teeth, hesitated for a moment, then decided to play her trump card. I'm a member of the middle family. I'm in Wutan City for training. You need to understand the consequences. If you touch me, you'll face the full force of the middle family. The thug froze. As a guard, he had no idea about her real identity. Yafei, a middle. Here for training. Doubt crept into his eyes. The middle family was one of the top 3 in the whole Gamma Empire, with reach that extended everywhere. He'd been confident he could vanish after dealing with Yafei, but now. The death of a mere auction house manager was one thing, the death of a middle was another. His heart hammered against his ribs. He knew the kind of power the middle auction house wielded. If they really came after him, he wouldn't stand a chance. He was just a 1-star fighter. Seeing his hesitation, Yafei felt a sliver of hope. As long as he wavered, there was a chance. She'd learned that the hard way. She began formulating her next words when his gaze flicked to the short, fat figure slumped in the corner. An idea sparked in his eyes. Ha 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 ha, thanks for the reminder, Miss Yafei. I just figured out how to solve this. He grinned, a truly nasty expression. I'll just claim that this Oba family pig assaulted you. I arrived too late and killed him in a fit of rage. Then I'll leave a note saying I failed to protect you and feared punishment. That lets me off the hook and sets the middle auction house against the Oba family. Even if they catch me eventually, it'll buy me all the time I need to get away. What do you think of my plan, Miss Yafei? He watched her carefully, savoring the look of dawning horror on her face. The thought of finally overpowering the untouchable Yafei thrilled him. Outside the alley, Xiao Zhe and Xiao Xun'er exchanged glances. This guy's not just horny, he's got a horny brain. Xiao Zhe muttered. Brother Xiao Zhe, should we step in? It really doesn't look like anyone else is coming. They'd held back because Yafei hadn't been hurt yet, hoping someone would happen by. They really wanted to avoid exposing themselves. This guy was savoring Yafei's fear. He must never have seen the composed, elegant Yafei look so vulnerable. If no one else shows up, we have to do something. We can't just stand by and watch something like that happen. Xiao Zhe shrugged, his senses confirming they were still alone. He sighed. He moved silently towards the alley. Xiao Xun'er stayed put, her fighting spirit not yet strong enough to face a proper fight. Xiao Zhe, on the other hand, was more than capable. While technically only a 9-star fighter, he fought like someone far more powerful. He deflected a blow from a top-tier fighter without a scratch. And if things got really bad, she could always call on Mr. Ling. Back in the alley, the thug was relishing Yafei's fear. He wanted to break through her cool facade, to see her exposed and vulnerable. Now, the fun begins. He stretched out a hand, and Yafei flinched. She imagined what was coming, and her eyes began to sting. She regretted waiting so long to reveal herself. If Master Oba's surveillance had been discovered earlier, someone might have walked by and saved her. Despairingly, she closed her eyes. Then, stubbornly, she forced them open. Even if she died, she wouldn't go down like a coward. Yes, keep them open. It's much more fun that way. He leaned in, his voice thick with lust. Surprise flickered in Yafei's eyes. Behind the thug, a cloaked figure had suddenly appeared. Just as he reached for her arm, a wave of killing intent washed over him. A surge of power slammed into his neck, and he crumpled. The next thing he knew, blinding pain exploded in his skull, and then, nothing. TSK, almost got him. Should have aimed higher. Xiao Zhe, finished with the thug, nudged him with his foot. He breathed a sigh of relief when he didn't stir. He looked up at Yafei. Miss Yafei, you're safe. Seeing the handsome young face, Yafei's tension finally broke. Her legs wobbled, and she rushed forward, a million questions swarming in her head. While Hero Saves the Damsel was a classic, she shouldn't be this forward. Xiao Zhe hesitated for a split second, then stood his ground. After all, with the speed she was moving, avoiding her would mean she'd crash face first into the wall. Chapter 15 Notice and Disturbance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Whoa! Xiao Zhe felt like he couldn't breathe and gave Yafei's shoulder a nudge. Yafei, regaining her composure, blushed and straightened up. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Seeing Xiao Zhe's discomfort, Ye Fei blurted out an apology. Sure, it looked like he was being taken advantage of, but he was her savior, and Ye Fei didn't dwell on it. Besides, she was the one who jumped him. Who could blame him? Hence, the sincere apology. It's cool, just a little unexpected. Just as Xiao Zhe waved it off, another figure landed silently nearby. Bro, we've seen enough of the show. You've played your part. Time to head back. Xiao Xun'er's tone was hard to read. She'd seen Ye Fei hugging Xiao Zhe, and her fists had instinctively clenched. A show? Ye Fei was taken aback. You two were watching from the sidelines. Xiao Zhe shrugged at Xiao Xun'er's remark. Didn't matter, he wasn't about to hide anything. We were at Xingde restaurant earlier and saw the whole thing unfold from the second floor. We figured that guy wouldn't let it go. After explaining, Xiao Zhe took Xiao Xun'er's hand, leaned in, and whispered, I didn't mean for that to happen. She came at me, and I tried to brace her fall. Otherwise, she would have landed flat on her face and been seriously hurt. There were better ways to catch her, maybe hold her with both hands. Xiao Xun'er scoffed, but remembering Ye Fei was right there, she also lowered her voice to match his. Ahem, emergency situation. Having overheard their conversation, Ye Fei now understood what they meant by watching a show. Seeing the two teenagers whispering, Ye Fei figured out why the girl had pointed out their behavior. His close contact with her had clearly rubbed her the wrong way. Childhood sweethearts, maybe? Ye Fei took the chance to study Xiao Xun'er. Unlike Xiao Zhe, Xiao Xun'er hadn't completely covered her face with the cloak, allowing Ye Fei to see her lower half. She could see a delicate chin and perfect lips. Ye Fei imagined a flawless face, probably highlighted by a pair of dazzling eyes hidden beneath the cloak. She was a good match for the young man's handsome face. The thoughts flashed through Ye Fei's mind, and she bowed deeply to express her gratitude to both of them. I see. Thank you both for being witnesses to my little drama. Now it was Xiao Xun'er's turn to be stunned. You don't mind us watching? I'd be lucky if every time I found myself in danger, there were people like you around, willing to watch and then jump in. Ye Fei said sincerely. Xiao Zhe nodded. Ye Fei wasn't bothered by them watching, she was more grateful that they saved her. She was able to see the bigger picture. Alright, now that's settled and we've made introductions, we won't stick around. Xiao Zhe lowered the brim of his cloak and spoke. Miss Ye Fei, please return to the miter auction house as soon as you can to avoid any more surprises. Could you both at least tell me your names so I can properly thank you later? Ye Fei asked quickly. Don't worry. We'll meet again in Wutan City. In fact, we already have, Miss Ye Fei. Xiao Zhe waved his hand and took Xiao Xun'er away, pausing to add, by the way, Miss Ye Fei, you know how it went down tonight. We were forced to step in. Please keep our involvement quiet. Of course. Ye Fei isn't one to bite the hand that feeds her. Ye Fei immediately assured him, understanding that they clearly didn't want to reveal their identities. Why else wouldn't they even give her their names? As a member of the miter family, Ye Fei still had some pull in Wutan City. Most people wouldn't pass up the chance to get on her good side, and as for trying to find Xiao Zhe in Wutan City based on his looks, like finding a needle in a haystack. After they left, Ye Fei surveyed the messy alley, tidied up a bit, and hurried back to the street. Back at the middle auction house, she immediately dispatched her confidants to clean up the area. The Oba family, one of the three big families in Wutan City. She, Ye Fei, wasn't afraid. However, to avoid trouble and to continue the investigation, just in case she stumbled upon her two saviors, Ye Fei decided to keep things under wraps. The next day, the Oba family posted a reward that rocked Wutan City. The youngest son of the Oba family patriarch was killed last night in a dark alley. Along with a fighter guard, might I add. No clues. Or rather, the patriarch of the Oba family had found a clue, but it led back to Miss Ye Fei, the head auctioneer of the miter auction house. The miter auction house was not something they could afford to mess with. Ye Fei denied any involvement. She escaped from Master Oba's clutches in a remote alley the night before and went straight back to the miter auction house. She knew nothing about Master Oba's subsequent death. Ye also seized the opportunity to demand compensation from the Oba chief. Master Oba tried to drug her and violated her, and she demanded an explanation from the Oba chief. Ye story was airtight, after all. Besides Xiao Zhe and Xiao Xun'er, only Ye confidants knew what actually happened. With no proof that Ye was involved, Chief Oba was just being unreasonable. In terms of raw power, the Oba family was no match for the Mitre auction house, and there was still no evidence that Ye did it. It was his son who had harassed Ye with the intention of committing murder and defilement, which had been proven by many people. Chief Oba stormed into the auction house, only to retreat in disgrace, ready to pay the compensation. The whole incident disgusted Chief Oba. Not only had he suffered the pain of losing his son, but he also had to pay compensation because of that same son. Finally, with all leads exhausted, the Oba family offered a reward of 100,000 gold coins, which caused a sensation throughout Wutan City. The search was on. Many opportunists tried to kill innocent people and claim the reward. However, Chief Oba saw through them with an iron fist, killed them, and hung their bodies at the gate to scare the rest. Eventually, officials from the Gama Empire intervened, warning the head of the Oba family not to let the matter escalate. As the managers of Wutan City, they wanted order and stability. If the situation got out of hand, it would scare off businessmen, which would hurt their profits. Besides, that guy was a scumbag anyway, so they didn't really care that someone was willing to get rid of him. In the end, the bounty scandal fizzled out without a bang. I ask you readers to keep reading. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 16 9-Star Peak. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Middle auctions. Exhausted after hosting another auction, Ye returned to her room. Removing her mink coat, she seemed lost in thought under the soft light. I can't get that kid out of my head. Ye murmured to herself. The encounter in the alley that night had left a real impression. These kinds of stories were usually reserved for adventure novels, but experiencing it firsthand was something else entirely. He said we'd met before, that he's also in Wutan City. Guess I'll run into him again eventually. Ye eyebrows arched slightly. She hosted auctions every day, met countless people. Even if a young man in the audience had been staring at her, she probably wouldn't have noticed. Her gaze fell on an invitation on the table, and it struck her. She'd been stuck in a rut, always at the middle auction house. She'd subconsciously assumed she'd met the young man there, but that wasn't her only scene. As one of the top powers in Wutan City, Middle Auction House was constantly receiving invitations from other major families. These families often invited others to grand ceremonies, showcasing their prosperity and strength. Come to think of it, that kid took down a 1-star Dou master at his age. He's gotta be a top-tier prodigy. If it wasn't at the auction, it had to have been at one of the family gatherings. Which means he's from one of the big three. He witnessed Master Oba's murder and didn't intervene. So, probably not from the Oba family. Which leaves the Xiao and Jia Lai families. Ye followed her train of thought, her eyes brightening. She felt like she was on the right track, close to figuring out who he was. The Jia Lai family hasn't produced any notable geniuses in recent years. But the Xiao family, wasn't there some kid last year, the supposed youngest Dou practitioner in a century? Thinking of this, Ye hurried to the cabinet to find information, quickly locating the file. Xiao Yan, son of the Xiao family head, third son. And I did go to the Xiao family ceremony last year. Could it be him? Gotta check on the Xiao family, see if anything big has happened recently. Ye had been tied up with other matters last year, so she left in a hurry without meeting Xiao Yan. She summoned her confidants, instructing them to investigate recent major events within the Xiao family. After her previous experience, she specifically requested a female escort. She wasn't eager to repeat that situation. While Ye investigated Xiao Yan, he remained at the Xiao family, high in the back mountains. Under the shade of a tree, he sat cross-legged on a smooth rock, eyes closed. He cultivated, Dou Qi swirling around him. A small vortex of energy formed around his body. Xiao Yan had slightly relaxed the Dou Qi cyclone's attraction. Energy flowed through his meridians and into the cyclone. Xiao Yan felt his meridians swell, experiencing a slight tingle. The first time he ran the Dou Qi cyclone at full power, he realized it was too much. The cyclone, provided by the system, was too powerful for his body. Using it at full strength would damage his meridians. However, in subsequent practice, Xiao Yan discovered a way to control it. By limiting the absorption within the limits his meridians could handle, he could incrementally increase their strength. Once his meridians adapted, he could increase the absorption again. This would subtly improve their strength. If he fully unleashed the energy in the future, his meridians would be able to withstand it, accelerating his cultivation. The shadows lengthened, and the vortex of Dou Qi around Xiao Yan dissipated. He opened his eyes, exhaling a breath of air. My Dou Qi has reached its limit. Only one step left to become a Dou master. Xiao Yan focused on the cyclone in his body. The light blue cyclone rotated, as if creating waves. Vast, an odd way to describe a fighter, but other cultivators of the same level, when seeing how powerful Xiao Yan's spirit was, would immediately doubt their training. I can say I've hit peak 9-star fighter, right? Xiao Yan laughed, recalling the ridiculous realm divisions he'd seen. He turned, looking down the mountain. A figure like a butterfly danced through the woods, approaching Xiao Yan. Brother Xiao Yan finished cultivating, Xiao Xun'er said with a smile. She admired his talent, and also his hard work. Yep. Felt like I made a little progress. Xiao Yan nodded, touching Xiao Xun'er's head. What about you? How's the training going? The same as always. 9th level of Dou Qi, still a ways to go. Don't worry, training in the Dou Qi stage is time and effort. You'll progress quickly when you become a fighter. Xiao Yan comforted her, and Xiao Xun'er nodded. I know, I'm happy with my progress. After all, not everyone can compare to this big monster like you, brother Xiao Yan. I'm comforting you, and you call me a monster. Xiao Yan ruffled Xiao Xun'er's hair, ignoring her complaints. Don't you dare call your brother Xiao Yan that again. I won't. Xiao Xun'er escaped, sticking her tongue out. Big monster, she ran, avoiding Xiao Yan. I think your fighting skills are getting rusty. Let's spar. Xiao Yan suppressed his strength, matching her level, and began fighting. The wind from their collision swept away the leaves, clearing a space. Xiao Yan took the opportunity, reaching out and gently patting Xiao Xun'er's butt. Please keep reading to the end. Thank you. Chapter 17 1-Star Fighter, Breakthroughs one after another. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time passed quietly during practice. Xiao Zhe spent his time helping Xiao Xun'er nourish her meridians. He was waiting for the tenfold feedback from Xiao Xun'er's promotion to a 1-star fighter, which would allow him to break through directly. It wasn't that he couldn't break through on his own, but he wanted the Doushi realm fed back by the system. Maybe he'd get something unique, like the special fighting cyclone he got last time. That cyclone helped him a ton during his training from a 1-star to a 9-star fighter. The next step was converting fighting spirit into liquid to condense higher quality fighting spirit, but the Baoqi system was bound to give him another surprise. Huff, huff. Xiao Xun'er exhaled, feeling a strange numbness all over her body. Brother Xiao Zhe is at the peak of 9 stars. Is he just pouring his fighting spirit into me since he has nowhere else to put it? That her face flushed. Xiao Xun'er wondered. Ever since Xiao Zhe had reached the peak of 9 stars, he'd been helping her warm up her meridians every day. You're getting a great deal but acting innocent. Seriously. Xiao Zhe pinched her cheeks and pulled them, even deformed. Her beauty was still breathtaking. Woo. Xiao Xun'er swatted his hand away and rolled her eyes. So, after warming and nourishing your meridians for so long, how does it feel? Is it still working? Xiao Zhe coughed, stopping and turning serious. Yeah, but it's not as obvious as it was at first. Of course, the higher the meridian intensity, the better. Xiao Xun'er smiled. Anyway, since you have fighting spirit to spare, you might as well use it on me. I'd love to, but even you can't handle all of it. It's only been an hour and a half, and you're already tapped out. I've still got most of my energy, Xiao Zhe teased. I still have most of the fighting energy in my body. Seriously. How did you get so much fighting spirit? Xiao Xun'er sighed. I bet regular fighting masters can't match your fighting spirit, right? I think I'm still a bit behind a Dou master in terms of quality. Turning Dou Qi into liquid changes everything. Xiao Zhe nodded. But in terms of quantity, I'm probably one of the best low-level Dou masters. He said modestly, the real situation was even more exaggerated. Xiao Xun'er stared at his lower abdomen, amazed. Is it possible your body has some special structure that can hold so much fighting energy? Hey, what are you doing? You want to cut me open and take a look? Xiao Zhe covered her eyes, stopping her from staring. Wait. I think I feel something, Xiao Xun'er suddenly said. What? Xiao Zhe was stunned, then realized what she meant. He sensed the changes in the surrounding energy. Hurry up and start practicing. Don't miss this chance. Xiao Zhe moved aside, and Xiao Xun'er nodded, sitting cross-legged on the stone platform. Energy swarmed in, pouring into her body. You're about to break through, you don't need my help, do you? Xiao Zhe watched closely. She should be fine. It was hard for ordinary people to break through. They had to condense the vortex of Dou within them. Failure meant dropping from the 9th to the 8th level of fighting spirit. Some people got stuck jumping back and forth. Naturally, it was hard to become a doujia. Of course, you could use external help, alchemy. Qi gathering powder guaranteed the cyclone of fighting. Nalan Yanran offered this as an apology when she broke off the engagement. That's why alchemists were so popular. Their elixirs had such powerful effects, everyone needed them, from low-level to high-level practitioners. Too bad becoming an alchemist was hard, and Xiao Zhe didn't meet the requirements. He'd have to hope to get the qualification from the system. Xiao Zhe's thoughts flashed by, Xiao Xun'er had condensed the Douji cyclone in one go in the original story, so she should be okay. He had condensed his with the system, but he felt she wouldn't need his advice. She should know all the cultivation methods. If it doesn't work, I'll give you a hand, Xiao Zhe thought, watching her closely. Xiao Xun'er frowned slightly, feeling too much Douqi gathering in her body. She knew how to condense the Douji cyclone, she'd seen countless examples, she knew all the tips, strong control and tough meridians. This allowed her to compress the fighting spirit without hurting herself. The pale white fighting energy flowed through her meridians and gathered in her lower abdomen. It became richer and darker. Turning milky white, a solid foundation, control, and experience, let her breakthrough proceed smoothly. Xiao Zhe breathed a sigh of relief. Pang! A slight sound resonated, and Xiao Xun'er opened her eyes, shining brightly. Xiao Zhe smiled and congratulated her. Congrats! You're a real fighter now. Ding! Xiao Xun'er has improved, reaching the level of a 1-star fighter. The host gets 10 times the feedback. Congratulations! The host has improved to a 1-star fighter. The familiar reminder made Xiao Zhe happy. I'm a fighter. I'm on the same level as you. Xun'er stood up, feeling the fighting spirit filling her body. It was more terrifying than regular fighting spirit. I know you're excited, but hold on. Xiao Zhe smiled, stopping her from approaching. Xiao Xun'er looked confused. Xiao Zhe chose to receive the reward, and energy began to gather towards him. Feeling the familiar breakthrough wave, Xiao Xun'er opened her mouth. Seeing you break through inspired me, so I will try too. Xiao Zhe smiled, while Xiao Xun'er looked like she was about to cry. I just became a fighter, and you are about to become a Dou master. Chapter 18 Breaking Through the Dou Shi, There is Hope for Revitalization. You are listening at novelfold.audio. On the stone platform atop the back mountain, Xiao Zhe's breakthrough felt almost effortless. He was like a whale, gulping down massive amounts of ambient energy, which flowed through his meridians and into his lower abdomen, mingling with his own refined energy. Usually, such raw, unfiltered energy could contaminate a fighter's carefully honed power, and this influx carried significant risks. It could even damage their core, causing them to regress, but Xiao Zhe's core greedily absorbed every bit of it. His light blue vortex spun rapidly, generating an immense pull, compressing all incoming energy, both pure and impure. It stripped away the impurities and condensed the essence, expelling waste through his pores and breath. This ravenous consumption continued, purifying the energy until it reached a critical point. Drip, drip, star. A drop of liquid energy formed and fell into the vortex. Unlike the light blue energy, this droplet was darker, and soon, more followed, like a light rain. As this liquid energy accumulated, it began circulating through Xiao Zhe's body, nourishing his blood, meridians, and bones. His physical abilities soared, and his entire being seemed elevated, filled with an all-encompassing sense of comfort. Even his soul felt strengthened. The liquid energy itself felt different, almost solid in its density. As time passed, the rain within the vortex began to lessen, yet the light blue vortex continued to spin, radiating a sense of hunger. Still not full, huh? Xiao Zhe mused to himself, sensing the fortification of his meridians. He released the hold on his vortex, unleashing an even more terrifying attraction. The surrounding energy converged upon him, forming a massive swirl. He meticulously channeled and integrated the incoming energy, merging it into his vortex. Soon, the rain within intensified. Xiao Xun'er, observing the swirling energy around Xiao Zhe, gasped. A figure materialized beside her, hidden in the shadows, barely visible. Master Xiao Zhe's talent is extraordinary, even among the ancient tribes. I've never seen such power displayed during a breakthrough to the Dou Master realm, Lingying said, astonished. As a high-level Dou Huang, he was no stranger to extraordinary sights, but this was unprecedented. Indeed, Brother Xiao Zhe's talents are unmatched. He might become a venerable figure or even a saint someday. Xiao Xun'er replied, her eyes full of hope. Lingying was surprised by her high praise. A Dou Zun was already an unattainable goal for most, and a Dou Sheng, who could create a small world from nothing, was almost mythical. Despite his surprise, Lingying agreed. Perhaps Master Xiao Zhe could overcome any obstacle and become powerful enough to marry into the ancient clan. Their silence was broken only by the wind. Suddenly, Xiao Xun'er looked towards the foot of the mountain. It seems the commotion from Brother Xiao Zhe's breakthrough has drawn the attention of the Xiao family. I'll go explain things. She turned to Lingying, concerned. Please watch over him and ensure nothing goes wrong. Understood, miss. Lingying nodded, melting back into the darkness to observe Xiao Zhe. Xiao Xun'er descended and met Xiao Zhan, who had come to investigate. Xun'er, are you here? Is Zaire up there? Xiao Zhan asked, immediately thinking of Xiao Zhe. Despite Xiao Zhe's unassuming nature, he was still a father. Since Xiao Xun'er was usually by Xiao Zhe's side, the question came naturally. Yes, Uncle Xiao Zhan. Brother Xiao Zhe is at a crucial point in his breakthrough, so please don't disturb him. Xiao Zhan paused, realization dawning. Wasn't Zaire a fighter 9 stars? Breakthrough, to Dou Shi. He stammered. Yes, Xiao Xun'er confirmed with a smile. Xiao Zhan gasped. An 11-year-old Dou Master. Ha ha ha, good, good. There's real hope for the Xiao family's resurgence. Stunned, Xiao Zhan erupted in joyous laughter, repeating, there's hope for resurgence. Okay. This is critical. We can't let anyone disturb him. I'll turn back any clan members who come to investigate. Xiao Zhan declared, resolute. Xun'er, please watch over Zaire. Let me know if anything goes wrong. Of course, Uncle Xiao Zhan. Xiao Xun'er replied with a gentle smile, already contemplating a change in address. With her reassurance, Xiao Zhan hurried back to block the path, stopping any curious clan members. Even from the intersection, the strange phenomenon above the back mountain was visible. A breakthrough to Dou Master with such a display. Zaire truly is heaven sent. Xiao Zhan envisioned Xiao Zhe surpassing him and leading the Xiao family to glory. Beaming, he vowed, before Zaire comes into his own, I'll protect him. As the turbulent energy subsided, Xiao Zhe slowly opened his eyes, focusing on the half-sized light blue vortex and the pool of solid feeling liquid energy within. He felt a deep satisfaction. He glanced at the 2 new system prompts, planning to examine them later. They had appeared when Xiao Xun'er broke through to the 1-star fighter. First, he would share the good news with Xun'er. Chapter 19 Auxiliary Binding. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Xun'er, sorry, looks like I'm pulling ahead again. Xiao Zhe said with a playful grin, which earned him an eye roll and a soft huff from Xiao Xun'er. I don't care, Xiao Zhe, you're helping me train from now on. Huh? I'm just a fighting master. How am I supposed to help you, a fighting master, train? Xiao Zhe asked, dumbfounded. Humph, tell me, how did you break through and get that crazy vision when you hit fighting master? Xiao Xun'er stepped closer, her eyes wide and curious, staring intently at Xiao Zhe's face as if searching for hidden secrets. I honestly don't know how to explain it. It just happened. Haha, no joke, how's it feel being a fighting master now? Xiao Xun'er chuckled, her curiosity piqued about Xiao Zhe's newfound strength. That vision must have meant a serious power-up, right? She was itching to find out just how much. I feel amazing, better than ever. My body, even my soul, feels upgraded. I could take on 10 of my old selves without breaking a sweat. Xiao Zhe said, serious as he assessed his new abilities. His power had increased dramatically, and with all his fighting skills, he was pretty sure he was unbeatable among low-level fighting masters. If I fought the Great Elder again now, I might not even need to use Yan's counterattack to drain all my power. I could actually go toe-to-toe with him. Xiao Xun'er's eyes went wide with surprise. Xiao Zhe had just become a fighting master, and probably wasn't even settled in yet. And the Great Elder was a top-tier fighting master. Sure, the guy was past his prime, but he was still a seasoned veteran, way stronger than your average fighting master. The fact that Xiao Zhe could even think about fighting him after just leveling up showed just how much stronger he'd become. Alright, you just broke through to 1-star fighter, go home and get your bearings. Xiao Zhe ruffled Xiao Xun'er's hair, telling her to go back and stabilize her power. Okay, you too, Xiao Zhe. They walked down the mountain together, waving goodbye at the crossroads. Xiao Zhe watched Xiao Xun'er leave, then turned his gaze to the shadows nearby. His enhanced senses allowed him to easily pick out the lurking figure. Dad, quit hiding. What's up? Ah, Zaire, I saw you and Xun'er talking. Didn't want to interrupt. Xiao Zhan stepped out of the shadows, scratching his head and chuckling. So. Xiao Zhan looked at Xiao Zhe nervously, but Xiao Zhe's aura was suppressed, showing no sign of a breakthrough. If you've got something to say, just say it, Dad. I heard from Xun'er that you broke through to fighting master earlier. Xiao Zhan blurted out, needing to confirm it for himself. Yeah, just now. Xiao Zhe confirmed, releasing a sliver of his aura. Xiao Zhan's eyes widened as he felt the intense fighting master power. He swallowed hard. Great, great. Zaire, your talent is probably unmatched in the Xiao family for centuries. The Xiao family might actually be revitalized because of you. Xiao Zhe smiled and nodded, chatted with Xiao Zhan for a bit, then headed back to his place. Little did Xiao Zhan know what the Xiao family would soon face, let alone revival and prosperity. Simply surviving would be a victory. After all, there was the Soul Hall to deal with. But there were still a few years before they made their move, enough time for Xiao Zhe to grow stronger. Worst case scenario, he'd strike first, take out the bird protector, and cut off the Soul Hall spies in the Jia Ma Empire, but killing a Dozong-level warrior silently would be tough. It wasn't that Xiao Zhe couldn't reach Dozong eventually, but he was short on time. According to the timeline, Xiao Yan would face Nalan Yanran's engagement breakup in 2 years. Then would come the 3-year agreement of 30 years this side of the river, 30 years that side of the river. Don't underestimate a young man's potential. After the 3-year agreement, the Soul Hall and Yunlan sect would join forces to crush the Xiao family. And somehow, the Soul Hall had figured out that the Xiao family in Wutan City was the same as the one from the past. During the attack, they'd secretly capture the head of the Xiao family, all for the Tuasha ancient Emperor Jade. If he could take the first step and cut off their intelligence, it might buy him more time. Of course, if things went south, he could always move the entire Xiao family or even disband it temporarily, but that was for later. Right now, he needed to focus on getting stronger. The key to his rapid growth lay in the 2 prompts the system had given him. Xiao Zhe looked at the system panel. Congratulations to Xiao Xun'er for leveling up to 1-star fighter. Congratulations to the host for receiving a special reward. In addition to Xiao Xun'er, the main binder, adding a subsidiary binder. Xiao Zhe studied the prompts carefully. He understood the conditions and requirements for subsidiary binding. Each time Xiao Xun'er leveled up, he would get a special reward. Most likely, it was the subsidiary binding. Subsidiary bindings were different from primary bindings. First, they didn't completely bind an individual, but only a certain aspect, bloodline, ability, or physique. He would only get feedback when that aspect improved. At first glance, it seemed less comprehensive than the main binding, but there was a benefit. The feedback multiplier wasn't fixed at 10 times. Subsidiary binding focused on one specific thing, so the feedback could be much higher. He could get lucky and receive feedback 10,000 times greater. For Xiao Zhe, that was incredibly appealing. He wasn't much of a gambler, but everyone had dreams. If he actually got thousandfold feedback, he'd skyrocket in power. Xiao Zhe studied the attachment binding requirements closely. The prerequisite for binding was contact, even just a glance. Maybe I should take a look at my third brother, Xiao Yan. After all, this was the option that made me hesitate. After reading it, Xiao Zhe fell into silence. Right now, Xiao Yan was a blank slate. All he had was his soul strength. In the future, he could add a fenju or alchemy technique. Xiao Yan's situation was all about future potential. Xiao Zhe noticed that the system options didn't include cultivation. So, auxiliary binding is only for expanding my abilities, talents, and physique? Or is it just not possible for the system to take advantage of me? Maybe, all the attachment bindings obtained later will be selected for cultivation. If any one of them actually gets thousands of times the feedback, I really would be fighting emperors and sects in no time. Xiao Zhe felt a pang of regret, but quickly reminded himself that the world of Dou Qi was full of diverse talents and abilities, enough for him to grow strong. Just one alchemy technique with 10,000 times the feedback would be enough for him to take off. There was also the colorful sky-swallowing python bloodline, the poisonous body of disaster, the green snake and the 3-flowered pupils from the original story. Any high magnification feedback from those would benefit Xiao Zhe immensely. Chapter 20 Xiao Family Grand Ceremony, Xiao Yu returns. You are listening at novelfold.audio. These days, Xiao Zhe's been solidifying his Dou Shi realm. Next step, 1 star, nice and steady. Xiao Xun'er was floored. She'd barely finished solidifying her own fighter realm. Had Xiao Zhe leveled up again? All she could think was, freak. Out behind the Xiao family compound, Xiao Xun'er grabbed Xiao Zhe and dragged him to the hot spring. I've been training all morning, and I just want to get cleaned up. Xiao Xun'er pointedly added, hey, Xiao Zhe, keep an eye out and don't let anyone get close. No problem, I got this. Xiao Zhe puffed out his chest and promised, with his current soul awareness, even Xiao Zhan couldn't sneak past him. Besides, there was a high-level Dou Huang watching them from the shadows. No one was getting near this hot spring without him knowing. Xiao Xun'er, seeing that Xiao Zhe seemed to be on the level, said with slightly flushed cheeks, Xiao Zhe, don't even think about peeking, okay? Ahem. Do I strike you as that kind of guy? Xiao Zhe coughed and quickly adopted a righteous tone. Hee, maybe. Even though she said that, Xiao Xun'er obviously trusted Xiao Zhe. She quickly slipped out of her clothes and eased into the hot spring. The mist swirled, and the gentle lapping of the water seemed to remind Xiao Zhe that a knockout was taking a bath right there. Xiao Zhe hummed to himself, sat down cross-legged, looking relaxed, and started chatting with Xiao Xun'er. They were both only 11 years old. Still kids. What crazy ideas could they have? Speaking of which, it seems like some folks in the clan have been busy lately. Anything big happening? Did you forget, dummy? It's the annual coming-of-age ceremony. I think this year it's for our cousin, Xiao Ning. The sound of the water grew closer. Xiao Ning's already coming of age. Time flies. Xiao Zhe leaned back on his hands, gazing at the sky, a complex look in his eyes. I heard Xiao Ning's sister, Xiao Yu, is coming back too. She's the genius who got into Canaan Academy. She might even be a fighter by now. Xiao Zhe was quiet. He always kept a low profile and hadn't really interacted with Xiaoyu. His only dealings were with her brother Xiao Ning, whom he'd recently walloped. Still, he wasn't worried about Xiaoyu coming back to settle the score. His current strength was more than enough to take down the Great Elder. What are your plans for the future? Are you thinking of joining a sect or an academy like Xiaoyu? That maybe because Xiao Zhe wasn't responding, Xiao Xun'er figured he wasn't interested and changed the subject. The Xiao family as it is, just can't provide the resources I need to grow as fast as I want. Time to start thinking about the future. Xiao Zhe thought for a moment and continued, sects have too many restrictions and rules. Not really my style. So, you're thinking of going to an academy? Like Xiaoyu, Canaan Academy. Xiao Xun'er's voice was muffled by the mist. Canaan Academy is definitely the best option right now and can give me the resources for rapid growth. Xiao Zhe nodded. He was leaning towards joining Canaan Academy. Canaan Academy has no restrictions and can provide fighting techniques. Most important, the fallen heart flame in the inner courtyard has tons of benefits for cultivation. The family's coming-of-age ceremony is coming up soon, right? Looks like the enrollment date for Canaan Academy is around the same time. Xun'er, you want to come with me? Sure. We've been inseparable since we were kids. If you went to Canaan Academy alone, I don't know if I could handle it. The two of them, one outside the hot spring and the other soaking in it, planned their futures. At the Great Elder's residence, lately, the Great Elder had been on his best behavior, doing everything he could to help the Xiao family and claw his way back into the position of Great Elder as soon as possible. That day, he'd heard about the spectacle in the back mountain. Even though there were lots of rumors flying around, no one in the upper ranks had confirmed them. The Great Elder figured it had to be Xiao Zhe. He'd been looking into Xiao Zhe's activities recently. During those years when Xiao Zhe kept a low profile, he'd spent most of his time in the back mountain, and after he became a genius, he almost never showed up in the family. The only place to find him was in the back mountain. The Great Elder muttered to himself, with that kind of spectacle, plus his 9-star fighter strength back then, he must have broken through to become a Dou Po, right? Even if he's just a fighting master, that kind of vision is too outrageous. Terrifying. No, I have to get Xiao Ning to apologize. Xiao Zhe's potential is obvious. We can't afford to make an enemy of him. Even just being on bad terms would be awful. That the Great Elder suddenly stood up, and heard a shout from outside the door. When he stepped outside, he saw a tall, slim figure wearing a Canaan Academy uniform with a gold star on the chest. Seeing that figure, the Great Elder smiled. It was his granddaughter, Xiaoyu. A student at Canaan Academy. Just getting into Canaan Academy was a sign of serious talent. Because the admission standard for Canaan Academy was reaching the 8th level of fighting spirit before the age of 18. Grandpa, Xiaoyu stepped forward, looking worried. I heard you were removed from your position as Great Elder. The Great Elder nodded and said, I have no objection to the way the matter was handled. Seeing what Xiaoyu was about to say, the Great Elder spoke first. Do you know the whole story? Xiaoyu shook her head. She'd only heard from other clan members that the position of Great Elder was being temporarily removed. Xiao Zhe isn't Xiao Yan. Back then, Xiao Yan's 1-star fighter status gave the clan leader more authority, but Xiao Zhe's strength is even more terrifying. He's an 11-year-old 9-star fighter. The Great Elder said slowly. Xiaoyu was stunned, then she gasped, her full breasts trembling slightly. 9-star fighter. Xiaoyu couldn't help but glance down at her chest. There was a single gold star embroidered there. She suddenly felt that the difference between people was bigger than the difference between people and dogs. Xiaoyu didn't question it, because it was coming from her grandfather, and he'd resigned from the position of Great Elder because of it. A wry smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, and she said helplessly, yeah, we really can't afford to offend an 11-year-old 9-star fighter. Not only that. A few days ago, there was that weird phenomenon in the back mountain. I seriously suspect Xiao Zhe has broken through and become a Dou Po. That the great elder said gravely, I'm planning to find Xiao Ning and have him apologize in person and resolve the conflict with Xiao Zhe. Sigh. Okay. I didn't expect cousin Xiao Zhe to be so unbelievably talented. Xiao Yu sighed. At the same time, Xiao Yu was a little curious about Xiao Zhe. If what her grandfather said was true, Xiao Zhe probably broke through to the realm of a fighter a while ago, but he was still keeping a low profile. As Xiao Yu thought about it, the image of a cultivator, free from vanity and wholly dedicated to cultivating, appeared in her mind. Grandpa, let me come with you. Xiao Yu suddenly said that she wanted to meet Xiao Zhe. The great elder looked Xiao Yu up and down, and when he saw that Xiao Yu seemed a little lost, the great elder smiled. Sure. You two are close enough in age to talk to each other.